Howdy ho, folks. It be me. Guess what? It's pouring rain outside. That means I don't have to do yard work, which means I can spend a lot more time in here or in there doing things this week, because it's really supposed to be kind of rainy. After today, it's just supposed to rain all day, and after that, off and on the rest of the week. So I'm going to be able to get some stuff done, I think. I like my pointer. Just a big dowel rod, long dowel rod. Anyway, this video, we're going to call it Super Detailing Scenery. Something to that effect. If you recall, this area right here, well, I guess you can kind of see it. It's the transition area between what's about finished over here in Warren Valley to over there into my harbor town. So this, I would like to have it be really scenically detailed, because it's the very first thing you see when you walk down the steps. You come right here and you see at the moment just 2 tracks and a little bit of scenery. So we started this going back through a couple of videos. My video on ballasting, I don't know, several weeks back. And then I did another one in this area on basic ground cover. And now we're going to get into one on super detailing it. Super duper detailing it. At least I'll try. So with that, I'm going to take the camera down, show you the materials I'm going to use and the things I'm going to use and parts and pieces that I'm going to use. I have collected everything, I think. Of course, I may have to stop and go make something else for it, or not use it all. I don't know. But let me take the camera down, put down my crazy little pointer here, and show you what we got to work with. So hang tight. Okay, in this area, I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit. Could have used this stuff as part of the video. And I got a nice little shadow going on here, so I'll have to fix that. But put in some old rotted ties, discarded barrel, More piles of rotted ties. A few trees. I think you saw in the ground cover one, and at the end maybe I had thrown in this billboard. And some of the static grass tufts that we had made. So, threw in a couple busted up old branches from trees and so forth. So, with that, let me show you what we're going to add to this. Okay, here's my makeshift table with a bunch of stuff. So let's kind of go left to right. First of all, I tore out a dead bush outside in one of my beds that was just totally dead. So ripped it out. Doing the process, I came across its roots. And I'll show you a picture of what it looked like initially. Here I kind of tore them apart. And what I've come up with is a pretty cool looking gnarly dead tree. I sprayed all this with a clear matte finish to seal it, just in case there's microscopic critters inside there. Also, where I broke off pieces, it was really white and light in the meat of the root. So I just took a little bit of, in fact, you can probably see some there at the very top. I didn't touch that up. But most of it, I took a little India ink and alcohol, just stained it so it blended in with the rest of the trunk. Came up with this little funky thing. Another gnarly looking thing. There's some of the telephone poles that I did. They're from the Atlas poles, and that's from my telephone pole video on how I painted these. Next up is a telltales. I think I showed you in my Timonium show loot video. See how well we can get to it. Focus. There we are. Yeah, I took a metallic black called obsidian to paint the poles and the other parts of the telltale. Painted the little ropes there, a tan, like a leathery tan color. Added a little rust, especially at the joints. Concrete base at the bottom. Kind of beat it up a little bit. Painted it concrete, weathered it. There you go. So I have two of those. Got some trees here, as you can see. These are all pre-made trees. And I had hoisted or hauled them off, pulled them off my diorama I had built. This is where I wanted to use these. Nice thick trunks, they look really, really nice. I had added a little more colorization to them. They were pretty much all yellow. So I added a little, or yellow and orange, I think they were mixed. So I added a little bit of green to them here and there. You know, not all leaves on a tree change color all at the same time. So there's those. A couple pine trees. These are parts of super trees. I just made some bushy things. Hairspray and a little bit of fine ground foam. These are these new bushy type undergrowth things from Scenic Express. Showed you in the last video. Got some more discarded ties if I want to use them. Some different rocks, some gray and some brown rocks. Don't know if I'll use them or not. Just put them there. Got our famous Aquanet hairspray. Model railroaders keep that company in business. There's some diluted white glue, some wet water, some tacky glue. These are also pieces off the off that bush root, and I kind of turned them into vines. And these things here are from the cinnamon broom I bought. Also have some other tufts, ones I didn't make. These are pre-made cheapo things. It came from, believe it or not, Temu, however you say that. I just wanted to try them, and they're only like $1 or $2 each. So, but they are really nice. So, what the heck? So let's get putting some of this stuff on to the layout. See if we can beef up its appearance. Okay, we're gonna kind of work from the back to the front, so I don't be clumsy and knock things over by working front to back, because that would be me. Try to adjust this light a little bit. It's still not right in this area, but we will get there one of these days. And I'm also debating whether in my mind to put a backdrop behind it or not, or just I don't know if that sign would stay there, but put maybe a Boston and Maine and New York Central sign there, since those are the two railroads that I freelance model. But I left enough room behind the back here so I can put a backdrop in if I choose to do so. And it won't be hard to do. So we'll think about it. All right, so let me start right here along this wall. Some of these viney things, you get them glued up onto the wall, and I think this gnarly tree would look pretty cool, like right there. So let me glue them on. I'm just going to use regular old Eileen's tacky glue, and we'll take a look at it in a second. All right, here's our viney things. Got them glued on. Now we're going to work right here in this corner. You see there's a little white from plaster. It's down there. I'm going to build fallen leaves up all along the edges here. Just going to hit them with some wet water and some diluted glue once they're on. Kind of hide that weird base there where it meets the ground. There we say we got that base all hidden up with some fallen down leaves. You can see it's still wet and glued drying there. And of course, me and my clumsiness went and knocked all these vines right off, right after I put them on. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm having the dropsies today. All right, so there we go. We are going to add also into that corner for a little bit more interest some crumpled up HO scale newspapers, if they had been discarded or blown there. And there we go. Now let's do the big gnarly tree. All right, regarding trees and a layout such as mine, there is not a foam piece underneath the ground. It is plaster and plywood beneath that. So always, once the ground cover is on and I want to plant a tree, occasionally I'll have to dig out a little spot, especially if the tree has a thicker trunk. Just cut it out, just jab it out, pry it out. I just use a long awl for that. And sometimes I got a little plaster dust. You can see there's a little white around the edges. Right in the middle there, it's a blob of glue, tacky glue. Just letting it set up for a couple minutes to get even tackier before I put this tree in. So once I get the tree in and we'll get it secured and dried, I may go back with some leaves and stuff around the trunk. Actually, I probably will stick this bad boy right down in that hole. What's cool is the way that one branch goes. I can use it to help prop the thing up till it dries. It leans right up against the portal there, portal wall. So there we go. Yeah, I'm definitely going to need some leaves and junk around the base. So let me put some of that in. Got some leaves piled up around the base of that tree. Cover up my plaster dig. And here I added this little metal rusty box beside the track. Just for the heck of it, because it kind of looks kind of cool. Let's get some more trees going here. Now you do remember maybe I discussed at one point in one of my videos groupings of trees, and it's my story and I'm sticking to it. They look better when you do odd numbers as opposed to even numbers. Just for some strange reason, it just looks a little better. So you got 3 there, got 3 there, got 1 right there. So I'm going to add another trio. These are different ones. Different than those back ones. Those are those wired trees that I got at the hobby shop that I attempted to make look better. But they're not super great, so I need better looking trees in the front, and they'll kind of blend in. Those ones back there will just kind of blend in to the scene, and it won't be as noticeable that they are kind of a little bit wonky. So let's get these ones in, and then I'll throw in a couple deciduouses, and we'll see what we look like. Got the deciduouses in. So 3 there, 1 there. Odd numbers. So I have 3 of them pines, 3 of those kind, and 1. Now, you can see there's still glue kind of drying under there. I'm going to let that completely dry before I decide if I need to go on with a tiny bit more ground covering and leaves at the base or not. We shall see once it dries a little better. Now, we're going to need some underbrush right in there between the billboard, the olive tree, and right in that little hollow space. A little bit of underbrush. I'm going to use those little bushy things from Scenic Express and a couple grass tufts in the front. Let's see what that looks like. They've been added. They look pretty nice. I kind of like them. You know what else we need? An old rusty set of freight car wheels from some long ago wreck. So I'm going to stick them kind of back into there somewhere. It looks like they're getting overgrown with stuff. Wheel set all rusted up and glued in. Not going to roll away on me. Added a couple more of those shrubby, bushy things. I really don't know what you call them. Threw one in there, one in there. Put some of these tufts in. These are the Timu tufts. They do look really nice. So I'm not a big fan of Timu as a whole entity, but there are a couple cool little things that you can find for a couple bucks. Well, maybe now it's $4. I have no idea. But did 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 of these little bad boys. 5 in here. Okay, next we're going to get these telltales put up. I'm a little nervous because I'm going to still be working after I get these up. And as clumsy as I can, I'm going to have them glued in and then knock them over. I have to redo it. Guarantee that'll happen. Especially later on when I'm trying to clean track, because that always happens over on the other side. Under my bridge overpasses in Warren Valley. Old clumsy claw gets in there and whack. So let's get these put in. Next phase is done. Went ahead and put the line poles in. 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. I tend to space them about a foot apart, give or take a ½ inch or so. Doesn't need to be perfect, but around that neighborhood. And then got the telltales in. This one's leaning a little bit. There, much better. And just scraped away a little bit of the ground covering, dropped some tacky glue in there and stuck them in. Covered up the base around the poles a little bit. A little more weeds, grasses, stuff. Just to kind of hide the transition between the pole and the ground. So let's let that dry and let's find out what else we can plop onto this thing. Well, had to take myself a little lunch break. Now that's over and we're back at it. Let me see what I can do with these squiggly pieces of those roots that I pulled out of my bush. Guess we can wrap this episode up. There's that weed, or I'm sorry, roots from my bush. Decided to toss them across the rocks, make it look like it fell off of that. Used to be a tree there and broke off and laid there for forever in time. Cinnamon broom. It's actually two pieces. I kind of stuck them together down in the same hole. You see the glue still dry in there. Got to throw one little bush in there to kind of cover up the base a little bit. Now, why shouldn't there be a board just randomly leaning up against a pole and a random pile of rocks for no reason, with some weeds coming up through them with super tree pieces. Threw another one right there. Couple more back over there. They make great weeds and bushes. There's another one right there. So that's pretty cool. I think I'll take this down, take a couple photos. First, I'll show you that root as it was when I brought it into the house from outside. And take a couple photos, post them, and we can call it a day. So, thank you very much for coming along once again. Fun having everybody watch. 834 subscribers. Eesh. If you haven't subscribed, add yourself to the list. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Leave me a comment or 2 or 10, I don't care. I've managed somehow since I started this channel to get back on every single comment. So if you did say, oh yeah, I remember I asked him a question, I better go back and look, because there's your answer will be on there. See, anyhow, okay. That's it, guys and gals. Another assorted scoundrels. We shall catch you on the next one. Bye-bye now.